Lemme Purr is one of the many trendy gummy probiotics popping up lately. It markets itself as a unique option for vaginal health, but the truth is, most gummy probiotics on the market, regardless of brand, tend to rely on just two main strains, Bacillus coagulans and Bacillus subtilis. Why? Because the process of making gummies involves heat, moisture, and sugar, all of which can destroy most probiotic strains. In fact, one study found that lactobacillus, when stored in a gummy, lost nearly all its potency within just 5 days at warm room temperature. Even when stored in the fridge, most of the bacteria were dead by the end of the month. By the way, I review a lot of supplements here, so subscribe and hit the bell to stay updated. And support me on Ko-fi if you enjoy the content. That's where Bacillus coagulans and Bacillus subtilis come in. These are known as spore-forming probiotics, meaning they can form a tough protective coating that helps them survive heat, moisture, and stomach acid. Studies show that gummies containing Bacillus coagulans are able to stay stable on the shelf for up to 24 months. Some gummy brands try to include other probiotic strains, but chances are those extra microbes won't be alive or effective by the time you eat them. So what about Bacillus coagulans in Lemme Purr? Can it actually help support vaginal health? There have been a couple of small studies looking at Bacillus coagulans in women with bacterial vaginosis who were already undergoing treatment. These women who took probiotics reported slight improvements in symptoms, but neither study used a placebo group. That makes it hard to say if the benefits were really from the probiotic or just from the act of taking a pill. Where Bacillus coagulans really shines is in digestive health. In one study, people with mild constipation who took just 1 billion CFUs daily had more regular and comfortable bowel movements compared to those who took a placebo. Another study looked at people with IBS, or irritable bowel syndrome, and found that taking 2 billion CFUs a day reduced diarrhea and in some cases helped with bloating and abdominal pain. Higher doses, around 6 billion CFUs daily, have even been linked to improvements in headaches and anxiety related to IBS. Other than digestive benefits, the evidence is more limited. Some studies suggest it may slightly reduce cold symptoms in children. It's also been linked to reduce pain in adults with rheumatoid arthritis when taken alongside standard meds, and to lower inflammation in people with non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, or NAFLD. Bottom line, Bacillus coagulans doesn't have strong evidence supporting its role in vaginal health, but it may offer real benefits when it comes to digestion and IBS. Lemme Purr also includes pineapple fruit powder, likely for its bromelain content. Bromelain is a natural enzyme found in pineapple that helps break down protein. It's sometimes used topically for its antibacterial or anti-inflammatory properties. But when it comes to eating it, there's no good evidence that bromelain or pineapple taken orally does anything at all for vaginal health. The main probiotic in Lemme Purr, Bacillus coagulans, just isn't one of the better options when it comes to vaginal health. In fact, there are much more effective strains out there, particularly certain types of lactobacillus. Lactobacillus bacteria are well known for their role in vaginal health because they produce lactic acid. This helps maintain an acidic environment in the vagina, which makes it harder for harmful bacteria and yeast to grow. In one study, women who used vaginal tablets containing between 100 million to 1 billion CFUs of Lactobacillus acidophilus had higher cure rates for bacterial vaginosis compared to a placebo. Even smaller doses, like 10 million CFUs daily, showed benefits in other trials. For yeast infections, one study found that women who used a Lactobacillus acidophilus vaginal suppository after finishing antifungal treatment were slightly less likely to have the infection come back. But here's an important point. Most of these benefits came from vaginal use of probiotics as suppositories, not as oral supplements. The benefits of oral use are likely much weaker. Some oral probiotic blends that include Lactobacillus acidophilus might help reduce the risk of bacterial vaginosis, but because they contain multiple strains, it's hard to say which one is actually doing the work. And in at least one study, healthy women who took Lactobacillus acidophilus by mouth didn't show any increase in beneficial bacteria in the vagina at all. This doesn't mean oral probiotics are useless for vaginal health, just that their effects are probably limited. In theory, the good bacteria you swallow could travel through your digestive system and eventually reach the vagina via the perineal area. But in practice, this route seems far less effective than applying probiotics directly. The best evidence we have for an oral probiotic helping vaginal health comes from a very specific combo: Lactobacillus rhamnosus GR1 and Lactobacillus reuteri RC14. This duo has been shown to slightly reduce the risk of urinary tract infections or UTIs. For instance, postmenopausal women who took this combination daily for a year experienced fewer symptomatic UTIs. However, Lemme Purr doesn't include the GR1 and RC14 combo, likely because these strains cannot survive in a gummy. That means it's unlikely to offer much, if any, benefit for vaginal health. It does contain a probiotic strain that might support digestion, but even here there's a catch. Most of the solid research on Bacillus coagulans and other probiotics comes from studies using capsules, powders, or fermented foods, not gummies. Human studies on gummy probiotics are still pretty rare. One gave Bacillus plantarum in gummy form to undernourished infants and saw slight improvements in growth and gut health. Another gave healthy adults a gummy with Bacillus coagulans, and the bacteria did survive digestion and stayed in the gut for several weeks. These findings are encouraging, but they don't prove that gummy probiotics like Lemme Purr can treat issues like IBS or constipation, and they definitely don't support any benefit for vaginal health. If your goal is to support vaginal health, your best bet is likely a vaginal suppository, especially one containing lactobacillus strains. These deliver the probiotics directly to where they're needed and have been shown to be more effective than oral supplements. If you still prefer the convenience of an oral probiotic, look specifically for the GR1 and RC14 strains, which may help lower UTI risk. Lemme Purr costs about $30 a month. For that same amount, you could buy an oral probiotic that actually includes the GR1 and RC14 strains, which have been clinically studied for vaginal health. If you're serious about results, vaginal suppositories, though more expensive, around $60 per month, are likely to be more effective. When it comes to improving vaginal health, I'm giving it a D. While Bacillus coagulans may have some digestive uses, the evidence behind it for vaginal health is far too weak. Rating it by cost, I'm giving it a C. It's moderately expensive for a generic gummy probiotic. Rating it by safety, I'm giving it a B. The strains used are unlikely to be a much cause for concern. Overall rating, I'm giving a D. I would not recommend it at all. Hi, I'm Dr. Brian Yeung. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Feel free to share them in the comments down below. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. And if you know someone who could benefit from this, please share it with them. Finally, if you enjoy what we do and want to learn more, consider supporting us on Ko-fi, and be sure to check out our other socials as well.